Hi there, welcome to Switch Mania. I am Clarence and today we'll talk about the best Nintendo Switch games on sale. We will be covering the UK, EU, US, Australia, and Canada eShop. But first and foremost, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you want to see more of this series, please leave a like. Remember to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to receive future notifications. Likes and subscriptions help keep the channel alive. First on our list, Overcooked All You Can Eat. Aside from a few minor mechanical differences between the two mainline games, Overcooked All You Can Eat is a lovingly crafted remaster of two lovingly crafted games, complete with their respective DLC packs, at an affordable price. There has never been a better way to enjoy the Overcooked series and all of its multiplayer mayhem. It is undeniably better as a party game when played with friends, so keep that in mind. If you want some local co-op action, this jam-packed cooking game is a great example of the genre. The developers were able to fix and add everything that was wrong with the previous games, such as making them easier to use and remastering them with a lot of content. It's a fun game to play at any time, and the new crossplay feature expands your options even further. It's a culinary masterpiece. Next is Panzer Dragoon Remake. Panzer Dragoon Remake is a good remake of the classic Sega Saturn shooter. Hardcore fans may not like how some things have changed for the worse, and newcomers may be perplexed by how simple it is. But it's difficult not to enjoy this on-rails remake. The Panzer Dragoon remake brings back one of Sega's most mysterious series, which is fantastic news. Even though this first game is somewhat limited by its historical context, it demonstrates that Panzer Dragoon will be in very capable hands when it returns. Overall, this is a very faithful remake of a classic and well-loved shoot-'em-up set in an intriguing world that has been brought to life in a new and visually vibrant way. Even though the controls are simple and straightforward, there is a learning curve to overcome in order to become the divine visitor the world requires. Next up, My Brother Rabbit. If you want a game with clever puzzles, an interesting story, beautiful graphics, and a moving soundtrack, My Brother Rabbit is a must-have. It's the kind of game that's perfect for passing the time in the afternoon. It's also the type of game I believe you'll want to play again in the future. I still think about what I did with it a few days after I finished it and wonder if I should do it again. My Brother Rabbit tells a touching story about a loved one suffering from a potentially fatal disease. Its subject matter is inherently emotional, but it doesn't make you feel anything. Some parts of the game will be familiar to fans of hide-and-seek and puzzle games. My Brother Rabbit's story is compelling enough that you should give it a shot. Next is Phantom Doctrine. Whether it's because I can play it without being tethered to the television or because it forgoes the alien threat in favor of a more grounded espionage take on the genre, I found the split between on-the-ground missions and reconnaissance activities fresh if uneven, and the removal of dice rolls for hit rate removes obfuscation that made combat a much more rewarding endeavor for me. If, like me, you enjoyed Mario plus Rabbids but wished there was more depth, or if you don't particularly enjoy sci-fi themes, Phantom Doctrine is a worthy substitute. Phantom Doctrine has a lot of DNA in common with the beloved XCOM series, but it lacks the polish that has made games like XCOM 2 such enduring examples of how to do tactics right. When Phantom Doctrine focuses on the details of spycraft, such as solving conspiracies and the stealth-focused nature of its missions, its own personality shines through. Next up, Joggernauts. Despite its cute and colorful appearance, Joggernauts is a difficult co-op platformer that rewards quick thinking and communication with other players. If that sounds appealing, hurry over to the eShop and give it a try. Overall, this game is a lot of fun to play. Friends who came with me couldn't stop gushing about how adorable and entertaining it was, and this game made us laugh until we cried. We were yelling at the person who mistimed their Switch to the front and left the rest of us for dead, and then we were laughing and apologizing for making the same mistake. We all agreed on one thing: if you've been drinking, you can't play this game. The game demanded a high level of concentration and coordination. Next is Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion. Turnip Boy is an unusual game that not everyone will enjoy. This is one of those games that is simple to learn but difficult to master. It's simple to play, but the bosses are challenging enough to keep you coming back for more. It knows it's funny, and the game makes you feel happy and cute. The story is also very simple, which is fine. The game is short, but it felt like that was the point: a short, tough-as-nails adventure game. Turnip Boy's music is fantastic, and I remember every song. It has a lot of enjoyable parts, and it's a shame when the game ends. Next is The King's Bird. The King's Bird, like N++ and Super Meat Boy, prioritizes control and gameplay over story. Obtain momentum and use it to accelerate through the levels. This is the only way to complete the game and reach the top of the online rankings. If you enjoy speedrunning games, you'll find it challenging. The King's Bird is a fantastic game for platformer fans who enjoy a good challenge. Less skilled players can still enjoy the beautiful game world thanks to the extremely useful assist mode. Talk about going above and beyond. Next is Lila's Skyark. Lila's Skyark is an odd game that tries to be unique. There's a fun world to explore, puzzles to solve, and interesting characters to meet, but it can get a little strange at times. But it looks great, and if you're looking for something unique and creative, this is the place to go. Lila's Skyark initially led me to believe that I was growing tired of indie games in this style in general, not just platformers. But, as I played it more, I realized that, despite a shaky start, it was a true gem. Once you get into it, Lila's Skyark is full of interesting characters, sweet story beats, and fun gameplay. Next up, INVERSUS Deluxe. INVERSUS Deluxe is a good option for Nintendo Switch owners to purchase because it has a unique concept that has been executed flawlessly. Changeable arenas make for exciting, action-packed matches that can be difficult to put down at times. The difficulty level in the game's arcade mode is surprisingly high. This may turn off some players, but it is more likely to attract more, fueling their desire to get the highest possible score. INVERSUS Deluxe is a great game to play with friends, but it's also enjoyable to play alone, so it could become your next favorite party game. INVERSUS Deluxe is an enjoyable single-player and multiplayer Switch game that makes good use of the Joy-Cons. Although the game is simple and easy to learn, there isn't much to it, so don't expect a deep or rich experience. But if you want a good twin-stick shooter that you can play on the go, you can't go wrong with this one. Next is one of my favorites, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. When it comes to the Switch, Ori and the Will of the Wisps is in great shape. Even though there have been a few cuts and tucks to fit it into a much smaller package, Moon Studios' amazing vision is still clear from the beginning to the end. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is one of the best Metroidvania games for the 5-year-old Nintendo Switch. Even though the first game was already a memorable adventure, Ori and the Will of the Wisps improves and has an even more stunning visual style than before. Next is OKAMI HD. This Switch release is noteworthy because it combines various methods of controlling the game into a single version that can be played anywhere and at any time. OKAMI is one of the best examples of a video game as art, blurring the distinction even further. It's not just a fun game, it's also an important piece of history, and everyone should play it, whether for the first or 100th time. OKAMI HD is the best way to improve on a classic game. The Switch version makes no compromises. It has everything you'd expect from a port and goes above and beyond to meet the platform's requirements. Even if the outcome wasn't perfect, Amaterasu's adventure would be worthwhile. Next is Diablo 3, Eternal Collection. This is the Diablo for handhelds that everyone will enjoy. Diablo 3, the Eternal Collection for the Nintendo Switch is a very successful and solid port of the 2012 game, complete with all of its content and updates. One of the best hack-and-slash games ever created. It provides dozens of hours of entertainment while exploring, killing, and looting in a beautiful dark fantasy world, and it can be played anywhere and with anyone. As much as I enjoy playing Diablo 3 on my PC, I think the Eternal Collection on Switch will be my new favorite way to play. Nothing beats lying in bed with the light turned off and romping through a rift when I should be sleeping, courtesy of Nintendo Switch and Blizzard Entertainment. Next is Taiko no Tatsujin, Drum and Fun. Taiko no Tatsujin, Drum and Fun is a near-perfect rhythm game. Every piece of this game's puzzle has been carefully selected to ensure that it is enjoyable for both new and experienced players. The simple 2-button controls will entice beginners right away, while more experienced players can put their skills to the test on tracks with insanely fast speeds and higher difficulties. Whatever your point of view, there is enough here to keep you interested for a long time. A fun rhythm game that is even more enjoyable when played with a drum and with friends in multiplayer mode. Next up, Shin Megami Tensei 5. Shin Megami Tensei 5 wants you to be a god, so it throws everything at you to test your strength. Atlus' deft approach to RPG development compensates for their rebellious and stubborn nature. Those who persevere through its sandblasted, broken world will discover a treasure that will stay with them like a revelation. With a dark, hopeless story and a collection of demons that make Pokemon look like a kid's game, this is hardcore role-playing at its finest. Only God knows how much better the next one could be. It is one of the best games for the Nintendo Switch because of its amazing battles and perplexing architecture. Next is Downwell. This is an excellent port of a game that feels right at home on Switch due to its numerous control options and natural ability to be played vertically. Unless you turn your 4K TV on its side, the Switch is the best way to play Downwell. Its roguelike structure and Twitch platforming may not be for everyone, but it's worth a shot. It's a modern classic that everyone should have in their library. It's a straightforward design masterclass where you can easily sit down to play for 5 minutes and end up playing for more than an hour and a dozen runs. Please excuse me while I fire off my gun boots to get to the bottom of this well. Next is Bastion. Simply put, Bastion is an excellent piece of independent art. Because it is the type of game that works well on a mobile device, it works well on the Nintendo Switch. The simple gameplay makes it simple to enter and exit while on the go. And the optional challenges demonstrate how exciting and addictive the game's combat is, making it easy to replay. The only thing I regret is that I didn't discover this game sooner. Any complaints I had about Bastion now seem insignificant. A decade ago, Supergiant Games released a good action RPG game. It will now have another chance to shine thanks to the Nintendo Switch. Next is Katana ZERO. It only took me a few hours to complete each of the 11 missions, but it took much longer to obtain all of the different endings. So many aspects of it piqued my interest. I want to play as a secondary character more often. I want to understand the story better, and I just want to know what the hell is going on. I can't stop playing Katana ZERO, which is a crazy, drug-fueled adventure. Katana ZERO is a very stylish game, from the lovely pixel art to the fantastic music that complements the fast and violent action. As you complete the challenges or die trying, you will truly feel like a master swordsman. Next up, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 is an excellent Nintendo Switch port. The only thing changed to make it work on Nintendo's beloved hybrid console is that the graphics aren't as good and it doesn't look as good. Even though the number of pixels is reduced, this does not imply that the image is being rendered in potato mode. It still looks great for what it is, and each real-life skater can be identified. Nothing prevents this port from being a strong recommendation for Switch owners. It has a ton of content and is a very rewarding game to play. This is an excellent port of one of the best arcade sports games ever, and it is an absolute must-have for Switch owners. Next is Sonic Mania. Sonic Mania is the culmination of a massive amount of effort by people who adore Sonic's 2D games more than anyone else. Sega gambled by allowing outsiders to control what makes Sonic Sonic, and it paid off with the best Sonic game in decades. It's not perfect, there are glitches, and some people may find the crushing deaths and general difficulty of later levels a little off-putting, but after being let down by many of Sega's previous attempts to capitalize on Sonic's early success, Sonic Mania accomplished something I had almost given up on being possible. Christian Whitehead, Headcanon, and Pagoda West Games have demonstrated that they understand what made Sonic great on the Mega Drive and have updated this core for a modern audience with a sequel that can compete with the best in the series. Next up, 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim is a long and difficult story to follow, especially if you want to know everything. The story may lack player agency because there are no branching choices or bad endings, but even so, the narrative alone will take at least 15 hours to complete. Add a few hours of strategy RPG and you've got a substantial title on your hands. I didn't abandon 13 Sentinels in the end because it is so well paced. The mystery of the story draws you in and propels you through a complex web of conspiracy, discovery, and self-reflection. It made me laugh, gasp, and see the world in a different light. We often talk about how interactive stories can be more than just movies or books, but few games actually do it. Vanillaware, on the other hand, makes it appear simple. Let us hope that 13 Sentinels is remembered for all that it has done for a long time. Next is Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission. Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission is a fantastic piece of fan service based on the original Japanese coin-op game. There are over 350 characters and over 1,000 collectible cards, so there's plenty to do. Despite the fact that it is a card game, it contains the action that Dragon Ball games are known for. It's not the most complex strategy game available, but Dragon Ball fans will enjoy it. SDBHWM contains a plethora of Dragon Ball characters, references, and attacks. It has excellent gameplay, a great deal of depth, a lot of content, and even more for fans to enjoy. If you like Dragon Ball and are willing to try something new, don't miss it. Next is Taiko no Tatsujin, Rhythmic Adventure Pack. It's not often that a rhythm game has a story, but Taiko does it in a way that makes it great for players of all skill levels to enjoy drumming while fighting monsters and making friends with them. It's great that this popular series keeps coming out in the West, and Taiko no Tatsujin, Rhythmic Adventure is a good choice for anyone who wants more of their favorite drumming action or wants to try it out for the first time. The RPG adventure in Taiko no Tatsujin, Rhythmic Adventure Pack is fun for people of all ages, and I couldn't help but fall in love with it. This is one of the cutest and most creative music games I've ever played. Next is one of my favorites, Hades. I'm confident that Hades is Supergiant's best game to date. When I'm not playing it, I can't wait to get back to it, and despite the fact that I'm not usually patient with games like this, I haven't experienced any frustration. Even though I don't usually enjoy this type of game, I'm still not done with Hades. That says a lot about how much I enjoy it. Hades is a game that you should not pass up. It has a fantastic story, a fantastic soundtrack, and some of the best designs for mythological characters ever created. If you like the genre, this is a must-have, and even if you don't, you should check out Hades. And last, but not the least, CARRION. CARRION is unique, and it's thrilling to be able to play a game that doesn't feel like most others. This is your chance to become a monster that eats people if you've always wanted to be one. CARRION is an intriguing take on the Metroidvania genre. It's fast, fluid, and a little scary to play as a hungry monster with tentacles. The only thing I don't like is that there is no mapping function, which makes progress difficult. CARRION is a fantastic game if you enjoy blood and gore. It's about an undefined, bloodthirsty creature that can kill all living things and robots in an infinite number of ways. This Nintendo Switch port is fantastic, but we wish it lasted twice as long. That's all guys. I hope this video was helpful in deciding which game to play, and thank you for checking out the list. Please remember to subscribe and we'll see you at the next one.